folks to the show. We have Mr. George Owens. Welcome. We have Mr. Anthony Travis. We have Miss Elizabeth Johnson. We have Miss Lavette Haynes. We have Miss, oh, I did say Elizabeth. Hey, Elizabeth. We have Mr. Reevan Fellows. And I just saw Mr. Chosen. Hello, welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Chicago Communicated News Media on point, and this evening we're going to be talking to Mr. Perkins at the Swift Mansion. And so until he arrives, we're having a general conversation about what we're doing in Chicago that we were doing 10, 15 years ago that we're still doing in Chicago. That's trying to get ourselves together so that we can deal with the politics and economics in this city. Because you do know this is the city and state where politics plays the major role in all allocation of funding. So what say you, Mr. Anthony?
Well, I think that it's great that the Black Caucus seem to have some sunshine on them, but they need to understand it just don't stop there, because with the educational pillar, it needs to be amended, because our community is getting beat up.
Okay.
Not only in Illinois, but across the country, tax-wise.
Okay.
And folks need to understand that we just lost $500 billion to being overtaxed. And the biggest thing that's taking our money is these school districts. And that's why we need to get the Black Caucus to understand in the educational pillar, it need to be amended to get these schools out the property tax system, consolidate these schools down to 6, and have one statewide budget for education.
So how can we help you get that process on the way? Because I know that is something that is really dear to your heart, because you're always pushing that, and it should be dear to any homeowner's heart if they look like me. So I understand your thrust, and I would like you to tell us what we need to do to facilitate your capacity to make that change.
Well, right now, I'm waiting on a phone call, because there's somebody that's going to who helped write legislation, supposed to get with me so we can write the legislation.
All right.
Okay, so once we get that done, then we can move for call to action.
Okay.
So
Got a question for you.
Go
Got
ahead.
a question for you.
We got that computer that's got
How many?
and
Hello?
put you on this
Wait a minute,
computer.
let me mute this while they're trying to get it together. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Anthony, I
Yeah,
was
what's the
asking,
question?
okay, how many school districts did you say there were?
It's 856 school districts in this state that cost us $18 billion in property taxes.
And how many in Chicago, do you know?
Chicago have one school district, which is 299. They have 400,000.
So you can hear this.
They have 400,000 students.
Hold on.
600.
Hold on. I'm okay. I'm muting. Go ahead, Anthony. Answer her question. Then
Okay.
I'll unmute her because she's talking.
Okay. District 299.
Go ahead.
They have 400,000 students, 600 schools, and the CEO get paid $300,000.
All right.
And that leaves 855 school districts left. 517 school districts, which are considered rural and small, are organized by an organization called ARIS. ARIS.
Eris.
Yeah. So
Okay.
they control 517 and 17 of those school districts, and they don't want no reform because them folks control all that money for those school districts. And the sad part about it, those white trustees on those school boards are crying the blues because they don't have no money because all the money's going to the superintendents.
Okay.
So
Is that ARIS?
yes, Eris, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
ladies and gentlemen, it looks like our guest has arisen. I see George. I muted the mic because you all were, it was a little background and I didn't want that to be heard. So, okay, let me I think you have to help him unmute his mic. Or is yours muted? George, can't hear you.
Okay, you hear me?
I can hear you now. And Mr. Perkins, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
All right, you can just sit back and relax. We can hear you.
Thank you.
How are you doing? You all right?
I'm good.
Welcome to the show. This is the Chicago Communicator News Media remote broadcast, and you are our guest tonight, and we just want to welcome you to the show. We have Mr. Anthony Perkins, we have Miss Jerry Hudson, we have Miss Elizabeth Johnson, Miss Lavette Haynes, and Chosen, one of our youth facilitators on the show this evening. And we just wanted to talk to you about the Swift Mansion. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our guests to the show.
Okay.
Oh, we also have Mr. Reven Fellows. Yes, we do. So, Lavette, give us a little background on Mr. Perkins.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Perkins. Mr. Maurice Perkins is our guest tonight, and he's the founder of the Swift Mansion, the foundation that has brought programs for the incarcerated and many, many others. And it is it's just a welcome to know you. I've met you at your mansion, and today's headline, or something that is sort of standing out, is the fact that you are ready to depart, or not depart from the mansion, but see it to its next level. And your wife, Christine Perkins, who's a retiree of the Chicago Public Schools, I'm quite sure that that 22-year journey that you've both had has been rewarding as well as challenging, I'm quite sure. So I would just like to touch base a little bit on your journey with the Swift Mansion, and not only with the Swift Mansion, but your early years as a Army guy in Frankfurt, Germany, and a nightclub owner at Caesar's Palace, and your nonprofit status. And so I'd just like to start off by just asking, as you've reached those milestones in your life, which was the most challenging? And then you can give us a little background after that, whatever you like to say.
Well, I'd like to say, first of all, that I'm very honored to be here as a guest of yours and to be dealing with Miss Wanda Carter. I didn't know of her as of late, but when I heard who her husband was, it just knocked me for a loop, because he was a consummate political press guy back in the day when Harold Washington was coming up, and Robert Storman, and he got us ready for the media back then.
Yes.
We didn't know about the media, how to conduct ourselves, how to put correct press releases together. He just polished everything we did. And he was with that Chatham Business Association in the old Pancake House meetings where Dempsey Travis would come, and other powerful people in this city would come to the Chatham Business Association meetings. Chatham, if you didn't know it, was the largest Black per capita income group in the 80s and 90s. So, you know, it's Morgan Carter. I loved Morgan, and I will remember him, and I was honored to be your guest.
Thank you so much. That is such a tribute to my husband. he was a trooper, truly. He tried to change the image of all those that came before him. He wanted to make sure you had your best image first. And so I thank you for that. But tell us a little bit about your journey. I mean, you've had such an interesting journey. And I just thought that our listeners would like to know about you, sir.
Okay, well, let me just say that we started the Inner City Youth Foundation in 1974 in the back of our nightclub at 45th and Cottage Grove.
Wow.
And we still here on 45th Street, going on 50 years now. And what happens is that when we ran the sports programs at the back of the club, we got all the CHA young people together and all the gangbangers, whatever they were doing, and we got them athletically inclined, and we came together, and mothers and sisters would come out and cook a large feast for us and everything on the ball diamonds, and we were community. We need to be community again, and my business has always prospered in the Black community. When I was living in Lake Point Towers and I was running the club and get a couple $100,000 a year back in the 70s like that, it was because Black people patronized me.
Yes.
So my loyalties were there because I always made money in the community, legitimate money in the community.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Jerry, you have a question for our guest. Oh, we can't hear you. Check your mic.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to be on the show. Yes, I want to ask Mr. Perkins, you know, his journey has been so long and expansive as you say. What is it that has made him so special to so many people? So many of the guys speak so well about his work.
Do.
What is it that you think that you have done in terms of giving back to the community that people really recognize you as a community leader?
Well, I believe the fact that I had an opportunity and I made something of it. I was on a case with 3 Blackstone Rangers back in 1966, and we were standing in Harry J. Comerford's courtroom down here on 11th and State. He became the chief judge, Harry C. Comerford. He was a legend. And he looked at me and he said, you know, these other guys, he said, they're going away because you're the only one standing here that don't have a record. And I would advise you to seek a military career, do something else, and get up off them streets. And that's what I did.
Oh.
And I was blessed by God not to have to go to Vietnam. I ran nightclubs in Germany, you know, for the command posts and all of that. So I had a blessed military career too. And my wife was with me too for 2 years.
Wow.
And she wasn't supposed to be in the country. But if the generals say you top soldier, you get a few privileges.
Oh, like that. Look at that. Now that's a good report. That's a good report from the service. What say
Mr.
you, Elizabeth? I know you got a question for our guest. Elizabeth, you there? Okay.
Let me ask Mr. Perkins. Mr. Perkins, as you look at your nightclub career and your stint in Germany, and then you as a nonprofit owner and leader, how do you compare, or what would you say about those 3 entities that stand out the most in your mind that shaped you as a person?
Well, my wife could explain that I should have never been in the charitable business because I actually don't know how to beg. You know, I mean, since I was 11 years old, I was in the Southmore Hotel running the shoe shine parlor. Miss Jewel LaFontaine, Ariel Capital's mother, was upstairs running all the activities. Bernadine C. Washington, Southmore Hotel, the Chicago Bears stayed there, the Black players. And we had revenue coming through there because of a Jewel LaFontaine. Wow. These were ladies of distinguish. They were royalty for us. And they made sure we all got paid.
You were stationed in Frankfurt, Germany?
Yeah, I was stationed in Frankfurt, Germany.
Where at?
Frankfurt, I was at the 97 General Hospital.
Oh, okay.
It was actually the Allied Command Post.
Okay. Because I was, when I got there, I was at the 21 Replacement Center.
21st, 20. Good like concern.
Yeah.
21st
Good
replacement.
and tired.
Good like concern. Yes, sir.
I
Wanda,
got
can
it.
you hear me?
Yeah, Elizabeth, I was asking you, did you have a question for our guest?
I was asking you, where is the Swift home located?
The Swift Mansion is located at 4500 South Michigan Avenue. It was actually the home of the Chicago Urban League for 26 years before we just got through doing our 25 years here. It was built in 1892. It looks like a sandstone or limestone, but it's actually a Georgia marble, which is very expensive.
I've been going past there for an exceedingly long time because my dad owned 4333 Michigan. He owned the building up there for a really, really long time. And we always looked at that house, and I'm so happy that you have it.
Was your father
about
a lawyer? Was he a lawyer?
No, my dad was a real estate person. His name was James Johnson. And if my son would tell you, my dad ran policy. He's the only Black person that ran policy and had a will in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. And Oscar Brown Jr., they were right across the street from you there, and they all owned real estate too. Oscar Brown Jr. too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Look at that. History unfolding. And that's what it's all about. We have to learn who we are, what we've done, and how we can help one another, because there's no way that mansion should go anywhere.
That's
no way that mansion should leave the Mr. Perkins and Mrs. Perkins. They belong there, and we
let
need
me
to
say
make sure
let me
there.
say this to you. When we bought the mansion in 95, in 97, we had $1 million offer. It was given to us by the Potter's House and Miss Bennett, and she arranged the sale. But we just decided, I decided that I wasn't ready to go, that we hadn't done the things that we wanted to do.
Thank you.
So, the thing of it is now it's time for some new monkeys with some longer tails.
New monkeys.
Mr. Perkins, I have a question for you, sir. Most of us dream of living in a mansion or upscaling our housing. And so how rewarding has that been to be able to appreciate the architecture of something that's so grand?
Well, these guys, Augustus Swift, who built this building for his daughter, who was getting married to the third richest man in the city and the third largest meat packer in the world, another gentleman in this business. And they were the first two residents here. And to walk through here sometime it's amazing.
I bet.
The building is, like I was telling the guy about the roof. On the main building of the roof, they have cut shutters into the roof where they raise the roof and open to the stars in the whole sky at night.
Oh,
Those
wow.
are one of the features that we covered it up a little bit when we put the new roof on, but it was an amazing feature. And to be in the sub basement and just to move around the edifice in the attic and everything, it's been amazing for me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the stars on the show. What's the next question? Who else has something to ask this wonderful gentleman?
George,
Okay.
question.
Okay.
When I was over there at the 21st Replacement Center, that's when I was about ready to come back to America. I got a chance to see the Drifters. So who was some of the Black artists that you had
the one I got
to
a chance to see was Wilson Pickett.
Oh,
Wicked Wilson Pickett. We saw him
Wow.
at Yahanda Holler.
Wow.
really?
Hall that they had just built, the Grand Hall. And I mean, it was, and then I got a chance to hang out with Sammy Davis Jr. and
Oh.
a lot of different people because the command post always recommended me to go good places. So I was blessed.
Oh Lord. He say they recommended him to go good places. All right. Joy, you've been so quiet. What's that?
Wanda, I have a question.
Oh yeah.
So I know that Mr. Perkins actually, and his name says Owens, and there are two that says George Owens, but knowing that Mr. Perkins is actually the one in the white shirt. I know that you've made some recent improvements over at the Swift. You now have a facility for people to do podcasts. What are some of the goals that you have for the Swift Mansion in terms of the arts? What is a vision that you see over there?
What I see is service. I think the man that gives service is the greatest man in the kingdom. Okay. And as service workers, I always tip them out. I find them to tip them out. I just respect my garbage man like I would my president.
That's right.
He's important.
Yeah.
See? So here in the mansion, we had Diane Dinkins' car. Now, she took over the Southside Arts Center after Dr. Margaret Burroughs left. And she was commissioned by us to do several oils on the Great Migration 1 and 2 from us as sharecroppers in the South to the North. And Diane Dinkins Carr was the daughter of Mayor David Dinkins, the first Black mayor in New York, David Dinkins. So she stayed down here and did this all. And then Louis Carr, he's the #2 man at BET. That was her husband. And that they were powerful people. And Representative Ken Duncan, he gave them the money to do this great exhibition we have. And we showcase it on Juneteenth. So just remember, we have a great all exposition down here that we would love for everybody to see.
Wow. Excellent. Listen, Reven, talk to us, my brother, about what you know about the Swift Mansion and Mr. Perkins. Mr.
Well,
Reven
it's an
Phelps.
honor. It's an honor to be on here with Brother Perkins. Man, you guys mentioned early about why does he have this great rapport with young people and longevity is all about his integrity. And as he said, he was in the valley with the children and understood it. And I presume once he got military, came back. And for what I know, I watch a lot of elders in this town, and a lot of them don't keep integrity, and young people see it. Yes. And so he has that spirit with ex-offenders, reentry. I'm an older guy, but when I'm around him, I feel the humble spirit. He treats everybody, like he said, everybody with respect. And so that's why his longevity is there and his integrity. And we need more people like that.
Absolutely.
He's been a great champion for Second Chance Brothers. And then I grew up on 43rd and Ellis, 43rd, 42nd and Drexel, 44th at Greenwood, 47th and Drexel. We moved every Friday, but I think my mama was running for rent. But anyway, but at the end of the day, so I come up down there with Jeff Ford, there in the Blackstone Rangers, Four Corner Hustlers. But my cousin was Alan Knox Gang, who just passed. That's my cousin, who actually, yes, sir. He actually saved my life. He took me skating and everything, but he told me, if your mother ever called me, you in some gangs, doing some drugs, lying, cheating, and stealing, I'm gonna kill you. So I'm straight, 2 college degrees, no gangs, no drugs. from an original Blackstone Ranger. So that's some good. It works. So it's a lot of good. But this brother just been carrying the torch, and I appreciate it. And he opens his house to everybody, no matter what the issue, and he bring them there, no disrespect. But I want to say to you, brother, you don't know it's about me. I don't know what the articles say, but I was actually the one who orchestrated me and Joe Watkins before he passed. I was the one who orchestrated to save the A. Philip Randolph Museum. I was the architect with him and Joe Watkins that saved Dr. Hughes in the museum. We brought everybody from the streets, the gangs, the Muslims, Islam, and people from the West to South say, you're not going to dishonor this sister and this Black man who was considered one of the most dangerous Black men in America. So I'm also the co-founder of the African American Heritage Museum, you don't know, and Black Veterans Archive, founded by Reverend Dr. Charles Smith, who's a Vietnam veteran, who's 80 years old. He founded a museum in Aurora, New Orleans. It's to recognize the 7,246 African American men and women who fought and died in Vietnam. It's the only museum that recognizes that. If you go to DC, they don't show you Black on the wall. So I'm a part of it. So I want to sit down, brother. My expertise in letting the museum go across the world. I want to be able to sit down with you and see where the future you're going, so I can bring some fresh legs and some wisdom and support you, and so we can move expeditiously. Thank you so much.
Hey, I love it. I love it. I love it. That's what we got to get going. This is where people who look like me, it's time to stand up and stand out. Do what we need to do to save our community. That's what this is all about. Welcome, Miss Thomas A. Yarrington from Springfield. Hey, we got our Springfield Connect here tonight.
Yeah, I be down on Herndon Street in Springfield.
Do you know him, Miss Thomas A.? Do you know Mr. Perkins?
I'm not sure. I just joined in, so, but I don't know. I haven't seen very,
All right, well, Mr.
I'm just saying I spent a lot of time at the Capitol.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
All
well,
right.
you might have seen me then.
All right.
Okay. We just probably haven't spoke to one another. So
Okay,
it's a lot of people be in that building every
There's
day.
a lot of
Okay, Mr. Perkins, what else should we know about the programming you're doing there at the Swift Mansion, and how can we help?
We want to offer an array of services, and people like you, George, different people that have these skills, you got to, keep applying them, because they're necessary, and we would facilitate anything we can. We 40 some years at this, and we would hope leave something that somebody else could use. You know what I'm saying?
Let's make that hub. Let's make the
somebody else might be able to utilize.
Right.
Let me interject a little, Wanda.
Okay,
we're at the halfway of the show. Hello, Thomas A. Yarrington, someone who you always want to have at the table, always. And so Mr. Maurice Perkins, he is someone to know. He is the founder of the, he can tell you this, the exact program, but he's over at the Swift Mansion, and he's helped so many people, and especially the incarcerated. And he's also been a nightclub owner at Caesar's Palace, 45th and Cottage Grove. He's been in the Army entertainment in Frankfurt, Germany, over there running some things in his time, and just in a historical building that was built in 1892 or 93. And hopefully this building serves to continue to promote cultural arts programming. And right now, I think the drummers are over there on weekly, George Owens and Wanda, implementing youth programs as myself. And the one young brother that we have on here, his name is Chosen. He's a Michael Jackson entertainer.